Good evening. Tonight we're going to do a little benchtop rant on why HRC testing for makers, I guess, and why HRC testing for makers matters more than you might think, and why HRC just in general matters more than you think. So, here's the story. I have these two knives. This beast of a knife was purchased as a bar of 4V in 3/16 thickness and was supposed to have a taper tang. This little knife here was also purchased as a bar of 4V and is 3/32 thick. So I ground them out. There's a sister knife to this one as well that is with a friend. It didn't really matter the steel type, so it went out. But so these were both purchased as a bar of 4V. They were cut out, they were ground, they were heat treated. When I put them on the Rockwell tester, following my heat treat procedure for 4V, following what I've known 4V to do, and I put these two on, and they come up 4 to 5 points short. I believe they're both sitting at about 60 HRC, which is strange. Why is it sitting at 60 HRC? It's 4V. It shouldn't sit at 60 HRC. It should be at 64 to 65 HRC. If I'm running 1975 or 2000 and I'm doing a cryo and a 300 or 350 temper, it should be 64 to 65, and it just wasn't. Now I went ahead originally, so this happened with this one first, and the sister knife, and I went ahead and I etched them. I did corrosion testing on it, and it just didn't seem to react like 4V. So I contacted the supplier and I say, hey, I don't think this is 4V. It's not acting like 4V. It didn't harden like 4V should have. What can we do? And they replaced the steel, which is wonderful. But I would have never known this knife would have went out into the world as 4V when it was not 4V. So that's the one critical aspect to testing your stuff, knowing what your HRC should be and what your HRC actually is. I followed the recipe for 64 to 65 HRC, and it should have been 64 to 65 HRC, but it was not. And then you have to ask yourself the question, why was it not? Was it the kiln? What was it? What was going on here? This was heat treated in a batch of 2 other 4V knives or 3 other 4V knives that all came out on par. So I knew it wasn't the oven. And this one was heat treated with, it was the only one that was supposed to be 4V, but it was heat treated with Magnica. It was heat treated with AABL. It was heat treated in a big batch of knives, but at a different temperature. But the Magnica was run hotter. The AABL was run cooler or the same as this one. I don't remember if this was 1975 or 2000. But it was run around that. And everything else came out spot on, 100% on point. So this one didn't. So it couldn't be the kiln, right? My kiln could have been off on temper, but no, because it was tempered with all the other blades. And again, all the other blades turned out fine. So I assumed, again, I had another issue of mislabeled steel. And last time that I went to the supplier and I said, hey, this is mislabeled, they said, okay, here's new steel. And they didn't want to pay to get this tested. And I don't blame them. Because it's, I don't know, it's supposed to be a couple $100 or whatever to test it. So I have not reached out to the supplier yet on this because it's been over the holidays. But I suspected that this was incorrect as well. So I sent both of these out to a customer that happens to have access to X-ray fluorescence, XFR, XRF, X-ray fluorescence, one of those, where it will look at how the material reflects X-ray, and then that can tell you the composition. So luckily, I sent these out. He checked both of them, and now we know what they are. And it makes sense. This is 3V, softer than I would want for 3V at about 60 HRC. And this is not 4V, which is supposed to be 4V. This is CPM 20CV. A big honking piece of CPM 20CV. So now I have to go and I have to contact the supplier and see what we're going to do about, again, mislabeled steel. I already told the customer that we have to start over on this one. I can finish it out and sell it, which I won't be mad about, but you know, it's kind of it's a bummer that I have to jump through all these hoops. So yeah, but that's why you test your shit. You can follow the recipe and they come up short, and it's because it's the wrong steel, or there's something wrong with your oven. But in this case, both times, wrong steel.